Привет. Hello and welcome to this skating lesson. I am Dave Lees.
Oh, Shmoy. I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave. Dave,
Hi.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think something is different about you.
I'm wearing a buffalo
That's
patch.
what it is. The shirt. It's the shirt.
Yes, it's the shirt. Yes. This and that. We are going to discuss all things going on in the skating world this weekend. Jonathan, we have a new colleague on YouTube. Listen, yes.
Welcome. Who is
Welcome. Alena Kostornaia. And, she dyed her hair red for the occasion. And I am just, thrilled. Wakaba, everyone. Yes, this is.
How Ashley Wagner of her. Do you think that was her inspiration?
She has some Ashley Wagner tendencies. I'm just going to say. She keeps us interested. She keeps us talking. She keeps us guessing.
She gives us the nice new hair color. Shake it up.
Yeah. And I think she's still, I think it's changing, but I think she's at the point of her career where she's having fun with it still.
Yeah.
Right. And because it can turn. And I do think that she is, maybe it's a nice break from pressure for her for right now. But
and I just have to tell you, when I first saw the post of Kostornaia having injured herself.
Yes, everyone, she has a broken wrist that she fell on a triple axel. So she fell on the 16th attempt that morning, because they practice twice a day. So that might not be, in terms of their numbers, it's a little dicey. She's trying to do 2 in a program. So you try to think about how many you would have to do. So
right. I mean, for 2 seconds when I'm just like scrolling really quickly, I saw it and I was like, oh, is she doing Dear Evan Hansen like in an exhibition? Like it looked almost like exactly like the album cover for Dear Evan Hansen.
Wait, what is with you and the Broadway references, Jonathan? You have been the hoity-toityest bitch since 2014 on the skating lesson. And all of a sudden, now I see that you were at Company, which I wanted to see, which I don't understand.
Come on.
How did the gender role? Well, I love Crazy Patty. And I will defend until the end of time that she is the better Mama Rose in Gypsy, not Bernadette Peters.
No, I don't think Bernadette is a Mama Rose.
I'm anti the queens who try to fake us on Bernadette. I'm a Patty LuPone. In Patty's mind, Evita talks to her in her dreams. And I like that commitment to the role. Okay.
Yeah. I'll have what she's having.
She has the real Barbara Fusar-Poli, Angelika Krylova energy. And that's what I like about Patty LuPone.
Yeah, because she did have enough Rose to perform to. Where Angelika went too far, no, Patty, there's no songs. Yeah, exactly.
Patty believes it, okay?
She was a revelation. Like, it was incredible. She has done some opera crossover stuff, like Kurt Weill and stuff. But to see her live in this was sensational performance. It's very skating-esque.
Well, of course. She's very skating, right? Yeah. But can you explain to me, they every time they bring Company back as a revival, which is one of my favorite shows, they do a twist. Like last time the Broadway performers were performing musical instruments, which I don't know about you, I'm not really into that.
The tuba, she had Patty had a hilarious brass instrument or something that she was.
And the Broadway queens are so much because they will post on Facebook that they love everything, whether they like it or not. And I've started to see you in these pictures where you take the selfie with the playbill and it goes on social media. And then you write about how you're crying to be back on Broadway again, even though I'm this is your 20th freaking show. Okay. I follow you on here and this is your 20th freaking show. All right.
You know what's funny? I have not gone to a live opera yet. I've seen 35 musicals.
You are becoming a theater queen. All right.
It's nice to reconnect with my roots. Yeah. So
I was telling someone this story the other day, but when I was seeing Evita in London, my roommates when you were studying abroad, they were hungover on the weekends, and after a while, I wanted to see something, and we were seeing a lot of shows. So, and all they have in the in the tube in London are theater advertisements everywhere. I almost said advertisements. Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
We were seeing, and Elena Roger is performing the balcony scene, and they put in the "You Must Love Me," and this guy next to me just grabs my knee, I was oh God.
And who you didn't know. This is the stranger next to me. Just
and I don't believe he was coming on to me. I think he was just overcome,
swept away by that moment. Yeah, I love that. And that's the power of theater, Dave.
Yes.
I've done that too in a skating moment where you almost want to like grab the person's knee next to you, like when you're nervous about a jump or when you're excited about a big moment. I totally get that.
Oh man, you don't forget. Ricky Martin wasn't in the show to like ruin it, so it was okay. It was good.
Although he's looking.
We love Ricky, but he's like the cheesiest element of the '90s of our lives, right? It's
correct, but I stand by my choice to really be fangirl for him. I really do.
Of course. He looks great. Okay.
Amazing little number. Now, actually, though, it's an interesting tie-in because a lot of the Broadway shows are closing because they're having like positive tests of COVID backstage. And I'm telling you before we started, I was supposed to see, I'm friends with one of the Rockettes. So we did a show together. So I was going to go on Thursday, and then you do the backstage tour where you meet the cast.
Oh, yes. I've done the backstage tour. Yes.
But they canceled everything because they do so many shows in a day, so I'm sure it was getting one day of canceled shows for them as well.
Those Rockettes, think of their hamstrings as they are doing those high kicks 4 times a day, Jonathan.
This is like their Olympics, because then a lot of them don't, I mean, this is their full-time gig, and then they only need that full-time gig, and then the rest of the time is sort of more freelance stuff. But
you ever like really enjoyed when Dina Lohan told us that she was a Rockette, and the Rockettes organization told us we have no record of her as a Rockette? That's not
at our record show. Yeah, no affiliation. Thank you, though. Yeah. Information. So yikes. Yeah. But it does, again, this wave of cancellations has me wondering, like, I'm ready to book my nationals tickets. And I was like, ooh,
I have my tickets.
Something funny gonna happen.
I mean, we're going to a red state, like, let's be honest. And ironically, I mean, not ironic, like, as it was last winter, and, it's quite bad in New Jersey and New York. And it's scary, it's unfortunate. I think for me, over the last 2 days, like, the vibe has just completely changed, in terms of
the energy in New York certainly has. Yeah.
The energy leaving the house. I mean, I was going to go to your party, and we have people coming to our, Christmas, and then it's like, oh my God, like, if there are that many people on top. I read an article that said if you're going to a holiday gathering, COVID will be there too. And then I was like, oh my God, this is
a lot of fear tactics also, but I understand why. But I mean, yeah.
I'm not nervous about myself. Well, okay. I have like 2 performances coming up for skating, and I don't have a lot of experience skating. So I want to get more opportunities in front of an audience. I'm like, this wouldn't be a great time to be sick. I'm triple, I got my booster. I've had COVID. I'm like, I feel healthy enough, but I have older parents and I don't want to give something to them. They're, boosted and stuff. But, you read things about people who are getting breakthrough cases and this and that, and who's immunocompromised. And my sister has people in her family, on her in-laws side that are, more at risk. So just things that are nerve-wracking, as it spreads, because when my whole family got it last year, it was because it spread from someone coming from Florida who had it, over, and they gave it to a kid, and the kid gave it to my dad, and everyone just, it's scary, and it seems like it's very permissible, but yeah, I'm worried for the athletes. At the same time, like hearing,
I see in New York, and this really started happening in my performing arts circles when all those Broadway shows started closing again, is there's this instant, it's like a PTSD still, even though we're not out of it, we're still like, oh my gosh, here we go again. And I wonder how much the athletes are conscious of it.
Now that we have vaccines, and now that I don't ever see us going back to like March 2020, but I do think that restrictions could be very real, and there could be
like, even for something like Nashville, I was like, I wonder if they will yank the spectator aspect.
It could happen at the last moment. I think it was, so interesting is that, SNL last night, they got rid of the audience the last minute, and the musical artist canceled at the last minute. That to me was like, all of a sudden started to feel eerie that would happen. Obviously that's a controlled environment. And then that I think is nerve wracking. And if I were an athlete, I would be so freaking nervous for so many reasons. Just, you're getting ready. You're trying to mentally be at the part of your peak of your career. So you're having to block everything out. And unfortunately, we touched on this about a week or 2 ago, Simone was very hit hard by this, right? In 2020 for Simone Biles, for gymnastics, and just using her as an example of all of those Olympians. When they did find out, they still did have several months left, although it was very close. The athletes now are in the absolute end stages of this, where we're going for the Olympic trials in these moments. That has to be incredibly triggering for every single person, because in order to perform at the Olympic trials, you have to block out that this thing being canceled is even a possibility. Otherwise, you cannot get yourself up to be where you need to be. So
right.
I do worry for them. I think there's such an incentive for so many people to keep these events going, right? To keep, whether they're spectatorless. I think in China, there's a big...
The momentum happening. Yes.
But again, we saw it die off for the Olympics in viewership in the summer in Japan, when there weren't as many spectators and it just felt weird. But we already started to have vaccines then. But now with this second wave of spread happening and it being bad and it being in the winter when the spread is worse, that concerns me if there would be almost like a backlash against the Olympic movement, where even if you have it, or is it then seen as like capitalistic waste, right? Like, what are we all doing this for? And that's the big...
Which it was bordering on even in that summer.
Yeah. Because think about it. I mean, no one says it, but like Japan just hosted an Olympics and then now they're canceling a Grand Prix final. Like, think about it, okay? But obviously every country has put billions of dollars into this, so you understand.
It's interesting also to know who's really calling that shot, like, because it seemed, or at least the news I was taking in around the Japanese Olympics, were that the people were not interested in this happening, that it was kind of the IOC pushing it to continue. Right? Like, so I'm curious, like, let's say we go to a place like Nashville for nationals. There's a joke in there somewhere, like Nashville's or something. Okay. Yeah. But like, I'm curious who calls the shots on how they do that. Is it the USFS? Is it partly like the venue itself? Is it the state? Like in the case of Japan, it was interesting. The country, like, sort of trumped the ISU. It seems like the ISU was sort of sideswiped by the information.
Yeah, it does seem more state by state in the US right now. And yeah, it's interesting. I know that there's, in Canada, it's getting more bad, and we have a bunch of viewers that let us know what's going on. And in Canada, they have been more vigilant about this and stricter with their protocols. So it doesn't surprise me, but their nationals I think Canadian nationals could realistically have no spectators.
Yes.
Last moment. And perhaps
these choices are easier now that they have models for how to run them, spectatorless or whatever.
Yes, and they did worlds that way, and I think the hard part is that they just had NHK, right? And there's so much anger at Japan by different people, or anger at the ISU, or why these things happened last minute. And I think it's just because things changed quickly. Like things seemed like they were going one way, then it was another. I mean, I was talking to a friend who's a scientist last night who said, do you know how the Spanish flu ended? And I was like kind of like, like people died out and got immunity. And he's like, we started thinking of it as the seasonal flu. And I said, oh, he's like, and when we get to that point, things will change. He's like, everyone will either get the vaccine or you won't feel bad about it, and I thought, well, that's blunt, but okay, okay, So I think it's hard. I think it's in New York. There is that element of it being very triggering. I don't know about you, but I'm sure the number of people that I hear that have it each day changes. So, and it has really started to change. But does seem that the people who are really sick are the unvaccinated, and that it's is what it is. It's
a tough call. It's a tough call to see how this goes. And of course, we got the ISU announcement this week that they will not even attempt to reschedule the finals, which some people were annoyed by. But I thought, of course, like, how ridiculous to try in this climate to now try to reschedule a final after you've lost all the momentum from the Grand Prix, and now you're kind of riding a wave into the Olympics and Worlds. There's no place for it, and there's nowhere in the season that it would make any sense or really be worth it to someone, I feel.
Yeah, and I know that it's upsetting, but I have to say that I do sense morale in skating was really down when the final was canceled, because just like using certain tools that you use for social media, looking at the search volume for skating, it was just way down. You know, as soon as that final got canceled, just the bubble like burst, you know, when usual people would be starting to search and wanting to debate and be like, well, you know, is Nathan unbeatable? Can Hanyu beat him? Or can this one or that one? Or none of that stuff was happening, right? It all just went away. It just evaporated. And
in the Olympic season, Dave, and I know I can say this because you're Catholic, you know, that we always call like those certain like churchgoers that only go on Christmas.
Yeah.
Some people go at Christmas and Easter, and then you got everybody else who's always there. Also, so it's different for our schedule because the Grand Prix final was hugely important, but we know we're now still glued to the British nationals, the Italian nationals, the French nationals. We're watching Zagreb. We're doing all this other stuff. But a lot of the people that don't even really clue into that, but do clue into the Grand Prix, it's as if they're now on hiatus.
Yeah, like, and I do notice a lot of, there's two different elements here. And I think you're really right, is that, you know, those people will even message us, you know, and we've gotten to know some of them over the years. And they clue in like for Skate America. Like Skate America is like a holiday for them. They don't know what happened earlier. They don't know what happened over the summer.
Yeah.
There's
and then
one
it's so
fan
when they're surprised. Yeah.
There's one fan who always messages me when he finds out that skaters are getting divorced. He is very triggered and like upset that like, you know, Sasha Cohen or Michelle Kwan have been divorced. And then he messaged me the other day and he said, Alena Kostornaia seems to be separated. And I said, well, yeah, like, where you been? You know, like, and this is someone, you know, who probably knows every Michelle Kwan program, but tunes in, like you're saying, for these bigger events and can't invest in the time of all of these junior grand. And I get it, but it's just like so funny that to me, I'm getting this message and he's messaging me on my personal Facebook. And I'm like, yeah, like, where you been?
It's funny when some people are like, where's so-and-so? And I was like, did you not see all summer, like what an implosion this was? Or, wow, this is a great program. And I was like, yeah, we've been thinking so for months. Like it's, that's why, of course, I love this channel and who it brings together, because I know that there was some confusion when I used the term super fan before. What I mean, of course, by super fan is someone who knows about the cranberry competition and who is cluing into Zagreb and knows how to find the feed from Estonia. Like, I love this stuff, but you're right. If you were counting on the Grand Prix final, we just lost sort of the big chunk of people that get excited about now.
This is what you do. I have been that person for many people that people will text and ask for a link. But now through Patreon, we have gotten our little friend Nolan, like who's in college, and we're turning him into a future adult skater. He's getting skates for Christmas. And Nolan is now like the one, like if I need a link even, if I need to find, I'm like, Nolan, where is it, my angel? Where is Nolan?
Angels Dave. Okay.
Well, that's so funny because, so Roman Serov, who's a big jokester, it was his birthday this week. Everyone in skating jokes about the Angels of Plushenko, like just like the ridiculous title. Because in America, we had a show, Charlie's Angel, and the Russians probably don't know why it's so funny to us, but in America, maybe they do, they had the show Charlie's Angels, where he had 3 angels. And last year, Plushenko has his angels. And there's obviously something very like misogynistic looking back about a man having 3 girls that are his angels. So there's me and another adult skater, Josh, who if you're on the TSL Lives, you would know who that is. And we had a joint lesson with Roman, and he'll refer to us as, oh, my angels, angels of Serov, you know? So we sent him champagne for his birthday this week, as he is a Russian who may enjoy
the finer things.
The finer things in life. Oh, thank you, my angels. You know, like
that's nice.
Yes. Well, his voice is like really grovelly, so be like, thank you, my angels. You know, like yes.
Makes it even better. Yeah.
But I don't know about you. A couple things are really sad, and I don't want to damper the mood with COVID and everything, because I think that everyone starts to get really triggered. And I think, look, 4 years ago, think about all of the hysteria that was going on in the ice dance world about, were Papadakis and Cizeron better than Virtue and Moyer? And though there isn't the debate for 1-2, I think the debate really would have happened between like Hubble and Koch and Piper. And that's actually kind of a fun debate for the bronze. And where does Diana Davis fall in? As the Spanish couldn't beat Diana Davis's scores with their national judges. Something to think about. Yeah. And based on how national competitions are scored. So I do think that there's that. And then there's the idea of so I did a whole video about how the Russians, and other people have told us some tall tales too, but Eteri knows how to put out a lot of tall tales that everyone gets behind. And everyone will reiterate, because Kostornaia says she wants to continue for 4 more years in the immediate aftermath of getting injured.
Right.
Oh, of course, yes, Tuktamisheva continues for 4 more years. And then you look at how Alena has been performing technically and the changes that have happened to her physicality and her ability to move and her ability to rotate her spine that have happened from 2 years ago to now. Look at the disintegration of her triple lutz. Look at what has happened to the triple axel. Look at what has happened to her spins, and how much more of a struggle. And then you go back and
the flexibility in the back disappeared for sure early on.
Yeah, and if you watch her at her most recent performances, and then you watch her in 2020 at her peak, I honestly don't believe that. I think it would be very challenging without some sort of surgery or visit to the German doctor to get her back to that form. Plus, we were hearing about all of the tension between her and the coaches and the interviews that Danil Gleikenhaus was giving, that there was a lot of tension. But I know that I said that. And of course, Sports.ru uses that because no one else is going to say it, right? And then a YouTube channel is like crazy and they take the picture of me with the crazy eyes. But if you put everything together, no, I honestly don't believe that she is going to be back at the competitive level. I think we may see her at a couple of competitions,
right?
Or she transitions out, as we have. We remember we saw Zagitova as Cleopatra for a couple of competitions before she took a pause, Jonathan. But do you think this is the end?
Or a cartwheel. Technically was at a Russian test skate under the guise that she was going to compete that program. No.
Medvedeva understands fame. And I'm working on a video about Eteri and really the true breadth of her empire, like way even beyond the results, like what she is actually creating. This is a girl who understands fame, Jonathan. Every week on ice,
champions that don't ride the wave correctly, almost, or they have opportunities that they seem to not be able to take advantage of. These girls,
the ratings on Ice Age actually even beat the ratings for competitive skating in Russia, and the ratings for competitive skating are quite substantial. And every week she just kissed this partner a little more, Jonathan.
Keep them tuning in. Yeah.
She knows how to give a press statement. She knows how to cry on cue. She is the Madonna of figure skating, okay? She understands publicity and fame, and I believe she is going to become the biggest star. She's commentating. I really believe she will cry on camera for the skaters like Tarasova. She has studied, she has watched, she is a performer.
Yeah.
She is so close to becoming an icon. I believe she will become a bigger figure in skater for her public persona and what she does as a commentator and TV personality and Ice Age performer and show skater, even than she was as an amateur. Because
the button we've been waiting for.
Think about if there is anyone, and we hope Tarasova gets well and she's hospitalized, but think about who could cry on camera for the skaters and who could turn on the theatrics better than Yevgenia Medvedeva, a girl who didn't know if her husband was going to live or die as a 16-year-old girl performing to a 9/11 program. Like, there's
a lot of baggage.
Think about it.
Yeah. I think you are absolutely right. And this is someone like, as opposed to Zagitova, where you knew like there was almost a reluctance to be in that spotlight post-competition. I'm not saying she doesn't like it, but like, I think Medvedeva is that kind of like personality that lives for that spotlight.
She's the closest thing to Tessa Virtue that Russia has on Instagram. Okay. It's just starting.
Yeah.
Those ozone ads where she's selling online retail, it's coming, everyone.
Yeah.
She is the closest thing to Tessa Virtue. All right. And this is an opportunity for skating and for Eteri's 40%. Okay. This is really
40% of every Moonlight earring, of every internet earring.
There had clearly been, you can always tell, Eteri is obvious because when she starts liking the post, you can tell when someone's in favor. And Evgenia has started doing well on Ice Age, and she started bringing in the bacon. And all of a sudden,
getting the approval and the formula. Yep. Yeah, okay, got it.
Our queen, and our queen is giving 2 interviews. On the 22nd, she is on one TV show and she brought the dog, and she's on a show on the 25th, an interview. I mean, what a holiday gift for all of us, Jonathan. I mean, what a fascinating, what a fascinating individual. Think about what she can possibly say.
What a Christmas gift.
What a Christmas gift. Okay.
Greatest gift of all.
I have never seen someone who could smize better than Tyra Banks until Eteri looking.
Yeah. It's amazing. I look forward to those. Those are going to be good.
But so the other, I don't know how much to say here, but you know, the Tarasova hospitalization has also been so quintessentially Russian. Okay.
It's cryptic quality, you mean?
The cryptic quality, the disinformation, yes.
Okay. Because what is the official narrative at the moment?
Well, she's right after Tarasova told us, thank you for thinking about me, I'm fine. TASS came out and said that she's been in the hospitalized since December 14th with high blood pressure. Also, high blood pressure alone isn't typically why someone would be in the hospital. Other things would happen, other comorbidities, things like that. But it's, you know, it's vagary, it's not, but, you know, I think it's quite, you know, there's a real serious tone to it. If you, you know, Averbuk was crying on TV. He's the producer of the show, Ice Age. He obviously has more information than the average person about what's going on with his head judge on there. And he was quite upset. So,
and so I'm assuming she will not be commentating, obviously, for Russian nationals, or will they try to?
No.
Yeah, it's like it's a serious like.
Yeah, I mean, there haven't been any articles that she's been released from the hospital, so I don't.
Okay.
And what a time to be hospitalized when.
Tough.
Yeah, it's tough, and she's been in a wheelchair for several years, which was kind of downplayed more because of some issues that she had with her spine, and spine and hips, I believe. So it's you know, quite sad and trouble. And she gave that interview recently where she was speaking in terms when someone gets older and they hope to see 75 or something. But I mean, come on, the Russians are potentially going to sweep the Olympics, Jonathan. And who needs to see this more than Tatiana Tarasova?
I know.
Whose quote do we need? I don't care if we see a picture of her sitting in the chair, watching, crying, yelling at the TV. This is what the public needs, okay? Yeah. This is what Tarasova needs. This is
hospital gown and a fur coat, crying, watching the medal stand when all 3 women are from Russia on top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we could see Putin could FaceTime her, okay? And this is, she could talk him through it, all right?
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
She could let him know it's going to be okay, you know?
Yeah. It's important to see her make it.
Yes. This is what the public needs. We need to know it's happening, okay? Think about, but you know, Russian nationals always brings the theatrics, right?
It has never failed to deliver.
Never, okay? And I think that the Russians don't understand like why, sometimes they don't understand why we find them so entertaining. They're just so much freer and more open with their emotions. You know, they let it out.
Raw, yeah.
That raw intensity. And when they compete in front of their home crowd, they just bring it,
it's
you know?
On the line. It's just so different than any other countries, quite frankly.
Think about if we get, you know, Yevgenia told us that she could perform. She hasn't said that she would perform, but she herself is going to be on TV on that Urgent show that the girls were on. She is also going to be on Evening Urgent. with her TikTok superstar partner from Ice Age.
Right.
And, you know, don't you think that she could give an interview for Tarasova and maybe give a performance dedicated to her?
Absolutely.
I could see her in some sort of a shroud. I mean, I think it's time for Evgenia to raise the theatrics up a level.
Yes, in a special exhibition. Yeah.
I believe that she could outdo Bayul with the lamp or with the black drape skating for Sergei Grinkov to You'll See about a lover, which people have pointed out was maybe not the appropriate song choice, but it was the 90s. And
we'll do the best we can. Yeah, she did look lovely with that black fabric. I mean, I don't know what to say. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. I think she holds the power to have similarly iconic exhibition programs. She already has with like, she did Sailor Moon and all that jazz, which again was so memorable. We've got more coming.
It was age appropriate, as Sandra would say. It was appropriate for where she was at the time.
It was.
Yes.
Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Jonathan, some people, you know, if they hear any criticism, they say that we hate Russia.
Not true.
I give a lot of money to Russia each week, you know, in all of its exports, but I have reached a new level of Russianness and it's going to horrify you. And I just want you to brace yourself. But like, I've reached a new level of Russian. My coach, Galina Yakovlevna, yes, has suggested that for the Christmas show, I should not do Pagliacci. She doesn't think it's appropriate for the holidays.
Fair enough.
Mind you, I'm in a Rudolph show with Team Israel. I mean, I digress.
Like what? Christmas album. Okay.
What is more appropriate than me and Alexei Bychenko rocking around the Christmas tree together? Jingle Bell rocking with Shira Ishlov. Okay, I don't know.
It's the Christmas spectacular we didn't even know we needed.
Right? Thank you, God, and thank you, Galit Chait. I mean, you know, this is what we really need. But she thinks I should do Christmas blues, sweet blues. Oh,
there is that Christmas blues song, yeah.
Yeah, and when I put on Blue Christmas, oh, so boring. So one, finding music that Galina wants is Ava. But Jonathan, do you think she wants me to stage a new program for this exhibition?
Stop, Galina, don't say it. Is she going to tell you to put, no, stop.
She had me put on 2 different pieces of music and just skate the program.
And just see if it works out. It's like lining up Wizard of Oz with Dark Side of the Moon.
Change the interpretation a bit.
This time, when you stab your wife, like just pretend it's like cutting a gingerbread man.
Jonathan, what is more Russian than that? Okay, Julin told us that he did it for Bobrova and Soloviev, and he was open about it. Okay,
it didn't even occur that shouldn't be what you say. Same thing. I mean, Ashley was one of the first people when she told us in that lobby, she was like, oh yeah, I'll just change, but keep like the footwork and stuff. I'll just change the music. And we were like, oh, okay, that's a choice. But apparently a common one. So.
No, as she said, nobody no wasted time on exhibition. That's what she said to me.
Well, which is why you should just, I
said, Galina, that is a lie. I said, what about like Victor doing the twist? Oh, making special. Just this only thing special. Everything else, absolutely program. Absolutely.
It is pretty amazing. And she's not wrong, actually. Yeah, just wear an orange jersey and a backwards cap or whatever he wore for that one number.
He is a true angel. Okay, just angel.
Selena before she even knew it was a thing. Yeah, amazing.
He is really such an actor for such a soft-spoken, like serious guy. When he does those characters, you're like, where did that come from? Okay,
it is a legit character. Like you could tell he's a new personality. When he had like, was it the tango lady that was like attached to his body?
Listen, Victor doing Mambo number 5 at the Goodwill Games. The man was robbed. Okay, for old Boitano and Orser, please. All Boitano did was like skate to something that wasn't a serious opera for once, and he was like, and they were like 10, No.
Yes,
Watch
exactly.
Victor shimmying with that doll, jumping with her. Come on, robbed. You can watch it on Hyacinth B's channel. Okay,
It's
the
true.
man
It's true.
was
It's worth
robbed.
it. Yeah. Scandal.
He's an angel
Yeah.
and an icon. Okay. They treated him horribly, and I hope that they paid him well to lose to Boitano and Ursur. Okay, that was
Yeah, we've all got a price.
all got a price. Awful, 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 awful. Also, I feel like the other night I saw a preview of skating programs to come, Jonathan.
From?
I watched the story on the West Side.
Oh, yes. I have been hearing rave reviews of this.
Her voice is incredible.
Mm.
And you know, I was sitting there and I was watching. And I was like, I feel the character of this girl so much. She's from New Jersey. Born in Hackensack.
Oh.
Raised in Clifton. You don't get more Jersey than that. All right.
With Galena. Yeah.
Like, it was to die. Okay. She is so good. It's the guy from The Fault in Our Stars. It's not about Tony anyway. Like, really, come on. Let's be honest. All right. Incredible. All right. She's so
this would be a great vehicle for people to overuse. Please overuse West Side Story instead of Moulin Rouge now.
Think about how many Russian junior ladies short programs we could see to I Feel Pretty.
Right.
Staged by Danil Glейхенгауз. Okay.
Or
They could open the program putting on lipstick. They could like
no, they'll like act out a gang fight, but to I Feel Pretty or something.
And as usual, the Russians wouldn't understand that all of those men dancing were gay. I mean, what is more Russian than that?
Except
Okay.
when they toured in Russia. They weren't gay.
No, not at all. No.
They were cured. Yeah. So
Neither was Johnny, according to Galena, once upon a time. You know, so that was
I blame social media. No, I ridiculous.
Yes. Anyway, so we did have
a favorite West Side Story program. I feel like we don't see it enough. I love the Mambo, of course. And the first people I still think of are the Duchesnays.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes. But, you know, it didn't work out so well for them. And it never made sense why you would do West Side Story and then dance as brother and sister. It was freaking lost on me. Okay.
Who can't be together?
Like, that had to really be explained by Tracy Wilson. I have to say, I don't believe that we have ever seen a great West Side Story. And I was trying to remember.
That one is yet to happen. Yeah.
I'm Too Troubled by Kristen Maloney doing a dance, doing a floor routine to it where she acted out dun, 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 the whole, the Parkettes tried to get the whole musical into 90 seconds. Okay.
A masterpiece in 90 seconds or less.
And they used to have like cornrows in their hair in the 90s and the Parkettes. I don't know. It was a freaking cringe. And this is before people pretended to like Kristen Maloney after she went to UCLA. All of a sudden people pretend like she's an icon. And no, people hated her in 99. She was like, I don't want to compare her to certain skaters, but yes. Okay. People spoke about her in those terms, the way that they speak about certain skaters from the US in, you know, ice rinks. So anyway, I will just say that she was not a fan favorite. Okay.
Long time fan favorite. Yeah, okay.
But yeah. So I don't think that we've seen a good West Side Story. And I think that we have the opportunity maybe for a good Marie France program to the ice dance event. Think about it. We could have, you know, who could be Maria? Lila Fear. Okay, they could.
They're up for. Well, I could also see the Canadians doing.
Are they going to continue?
I don't know. Would you?
I think that Canada may incentivize them to continue, depending on what happens with Piper and Paul, because I think that they still have like a season or two as their next teams are really coming into their own.
This is a big step up for them this season, I think. So if they felt like riding a wave of momentum at least another year, I would. Because I think more medals await them on the other side of this Olympics.
It could. I think you have to really look at like who's continuing and what is going to happen and their health.
You get four or five of the top teams just sort of retire. The Italians will probably retire. It's a possibility. Like, I don't know.
I know that Chuck and Bates said that they were going to continue, but even they have seemed to have some injury. It depends really where your body is at after the Olympics. You know, people say all sorts of things before you go through the Olympics, but it's like, we're going to send you through a really exhausting, life-changing event. You don't know what's going to happen when you come out on the other side.
Right. Emotionally as well as physically, I would think. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it, is you don't know what's going to happen when you're.
It would have been fun to have had like TSL, I mean, although hilarious because of what our ages would have meant, but around like 92, knowing that somehow we have this like unique experience going into such a close Olympics, and who was choosing to continue, who chose not to continue, who chose.
Oh my God, it would have been all about how Christy was outperforming everyone every week. You know, what is she doing?
A random show. She could have easily, I think, won a second gold medal, but I understand the burnout in that moment, like you're saying. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But yeah, how about Spanish nationals, ice dance event, Sara Hurtado versus Olivia Smart. Now, okay, on TSL Live, we revisited the last competition of Sara and Adrian.
When she gets so angry in the kiss and cry.
And she's like standing and wouldn't sit down.
Yes.
I need to know what happened.
We never knew, did we?
That's when you need a microphone. It was better than the kiss and cry when Morgan says something to Vanessa and she just gets up and walks out of there and is like clapping. She's so mad, she starts clapping and walks out. These are some iconic, I mean, the Deanna Stellato Nationals in 2019, when Jim and Nate tell her to sit there and smile, and she's like, no, we're gonna get fourth place. And the Sara Hurtado and Adrian Diaz kiss and cry. And he kind of references it in the On Edge series. And I think that the On Edge is much better than the gymnastics one that they developed this format in, and they've really refined it. But that would be a moment that you re-show that image, because he just goes, we think about skating very differently. And he made some shade. And you know, why didn't they ask her for an interview? I want to know her perspective on that. Okay.
On ice perspective. Yeah. Amazing.
Have you ever been that angry in your life? What happened? Okay.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, that was the end. And it was something so like shocking to see, because it was so raw and it was so real. And you knew exactly what those people were feeling on the inside, it seemed. Like it was, and we never really understood. I pretended I understood, where I thought she was intense and she felt like he wasn't keeping up. Was sort of how I left as a fan, thinking it maybe was playing out. And it devastated me because I loved them as a team.
They were the fan favorite team.
They were like, we were all behind them.
They were what started the Montreal thing with the Picasso program. And then the next season, Papadakis and Cizeron. And then we saw Hubble and Donahue. And then Virtue and Moyer. And they started this steamroll.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, Sara had always sort of solidified herself as just enough ahead of them, almost always from the minute they split. And so I wondered, you know, one of my favorite Virtue and Moyer, we did that funny shtick about French versus Canadians, but when we go back to the Merrill Davis versus Tessa and Scott debate, which is fun and it's so good for the sport, blah, blah, blah. But really, when they did that Carmen program, I really thought it was some of the best they had ever done in terms of program content. But yet somehow you felt there was this collective groupthink shift, like, let's give the other one a turn. It seemed more based in almost a collective idea to switch things up instead of base it on the material. And
well, yeah. And the other thing, there were some, I think the program was so incredible. I think when you get into maybe some of the ice dance debate of this is like so hard, because at this point Tessa was quite injured over a period of time, and they just didn't look as solid or as powerful. However, the program on its own was superior.
Yeah.
They did have a weird middle section where they did like the diagonal step and the music changed and it lost its impact. And I think that was a mischaracterization error, right? Where the program kind of lost steam, because I think the opening 45% of that program and the ending 30% are like so freaking unbeatable. And then the middle gets a little odd, where it like loses something, where it just needed something. And I don't think that they were the priority at that time for whatever.
But yet still got such amazing material to bookend that program. I mean, the only reason I bring it up is because it's interesting in our own version of this with these Spanish teams. As I really looked at Sarah here and her partner, I thought they are really doing some good stuff.
They are, and her free leg is freaking fantastic, and it has changed to more of the Julien technique. And then you watch Smart and Diaz, who really embody the more British technique that they learned, which the French Zazui and Haganor like have really adopted, and that's part of the 20% change that Virtue and Moyer were trying when they went there, and the change in the skating skills. And you could really see it in the differences of how Sada Hurtado and Olivia Smart skate, and just their balance over the blade, and how they push and how they stroke, and how they extend their toe. Like there's just a little bit of a nuance to it. And it's interesting because Sada obviously came from the Montreal school and then went to Julien, and there's, you know, a nuance different to her technique, and you could kind of see similarities with her and Victoria Sinitsina. That's really freaking nerdy, but if you spend enough time watching ice dance and watch those free legs and how they extend.
But it explains a lot, Dave, because it explains why this is more of an apples and oranges thing than just like what music they chose. Do you know what I mean? And I did see, like, in the same way, actually, when Swan Lake won the bronze medal in Sochi, it was a bit more showy and like kind of, but it was great. Because it's easy, and that like exciting lift at the end versus the subtle nuance of what the French were doing, which kind of, it didn't have as much an easy to get impact. So Zorro here, to me, in person, I could like barely breathe at the end with the surprising sort of.
Oh, it was so good at the end. And they did it in Spain. Think about it. To do Swan Lake in Russia with a very balletic Alena and a very handsome Nikita at their prime in 2014, it was magique. Was, of course, they were going to put them over the front. The crowd, I mean,
right.
Incredible.
They didn't have a choice. Yeah, they didn't give them a choice, it seemed. And it took me time. With time, I understood how much more sophisticated the French were, but it was just like easier to get. I thought this was a case where like the material was just a little bit more, I don't say gimmicky in a negative way, but the Zorro is a bit gimmicky in a crowd-pleasing way that's very effective. That's one of the things we talk about this season.
They actually do adopt some flamenco movements at the end that really work.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when I first saw it, I had that same gimmicky reaction. And you were on board with this program quicker than I was.
Yeah.
And this is really like developed with me over time. What I got from it is that they look so much more confident this season. I don't know how they approach the season. I'd love to talk to her and really have them explain like what differences did they make in their training and in their mental approach over the last 12 months? Because I don't know about you, but there's often been this tragic vibe that they were always going to finish short.
Yes.
Yeah. And granted, they've made a lot of errors. Remember how many times did we see them do the tucked leg twizzles and just be really out of it? Right. But this season, especially in the free dance, and maybe going back to Tina Turner was a strategic move to just feel confident and comfortable. Their skating, it almost reminded me of when you watch people skate in a show and they just look so confident. You know, they just look
at ease,
right?
Yeah.
And I just got that feeling watching them. Whereas with Sada and Kiro, she is giving so much and he is just there. And they're not one unit. Like she can't give enough. She can give enough for 3 people, but when he just has no expression to match her, there's no real chemistry happening. And then her performance doesn't go anywhere.
Right. Well, and she's a good performer, and there are good, fast, cool, sharp movements. Some of their moments almost seemed a little sharper to my eye. But again, I think the genius of those final closing seconds of the Zorro just leave you with such like a whoosh feeling that you're ready to slam down some big PCS numbers.
And I know that I know people get mad when you talk about costumes, but costumes do enhance the look and the overall. Olivia's dress makes her look so freaking sophisticated, and just the cut and how she angles herself and how they do the lean in Marie France choreography, the whole thing works together.
Yeah.
And I do think it's Marie France's best program of the season.
I think so too. I think, and you know what? Maybe as like a solid, like, let's make sure we get them there. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but like, this is a killer program in the way that, like, even though it may not be winning gold, we're all talking about Wakaba's Lion King program. You know what I mean? And this is one of those programs, and that's what you have to do. How do you separate yourself when you're basically neck and neck, and maybe the other team is a little faster or something like that? You give them like just such a memorable, iconic program that we will always remember, that Zorro program.
It has the Ashley Wagner Moulin Rouge packaging perfection, like ideal choice thing happening.
Yeah.
Where it's just the right skaters with the right music at the right choreography at the right time, and it
the right time
come together. Yeah.
So now it's interesting because there was no golden spin show off for them, or showdown for them. So this now will lead us into Europeans, right? Like, so
did they officially replace it? That's what's unclear to me, and they haven't announced. But prior to this, they were only ahead by 0.25, which is, I mean, it's ice dance, and we've seen some really close things, but with, as you know, +5, -5, now 0.25 is something that you could easily catch up. Now they were adding the scores together, and nationals was going to be one of them, so they're comfortably ahead.
Yeah.
So I haven't read officially, and I'm sure people in the comments will know if they officially switched it, or if this team is going for the Olympic. They looked very relaxed and very happy after they defined it.
Very happy. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Seeing those moments. Oh, I don't see enough of those kind of beautiful moments. You know, like when someone just in the kiss and cry is just completely elated. It was so lovely to see, like, just three people beaming ear to
I mean, they'd have to literally, like, if Europeans are part of this, they either have qualified, or if they haven't, they would have to like not do a lift. Okay, miss a complete twizzle element. So I think that.
But don't both teams go to Europeans?
Yes, but it wasn't a part. My understanding was it wasn't a part of the original selection. Originally, it was Finlandia, Zagreb, and nationals, where they were.
I misunderstood. I thought Europeans was a part of it.
No, but in the past, it had been Europeans. So maybe they just switched it. I don't know. We didn't get like a, you know, without the ICE network of it all, we don't really get that article that says, you know, this is why they withdrew and they're changing and yada yada. So I mean, we also saw Diana and Annabelle withdraw, and that was going to be so exciting to watch.
That showdown, yeah, 100%. Yeah. I
mean, with the same freaking music that we're going to see, okay? It's about the boom, boom, pow, Jonathan, okay?
Sadly, it is this season.
I'm 2008. You're so 2000 and late. Okay, I mean, come on. Right?
I mean, the rhyming scheme is just.
I mean, when Diana Davis is like this. I mean, come on. You know her mother taught her that. Stop it.
Maybe with a similar hair situation. Isn't she a little?
Maybe, honey.
Yeah.
What we do for art. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing.
Listen, do you see eteri? She was holding that dog and she was like smizing at that camera. I mean, my girl. Okay.
Yeah, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's doing.
She's building an empire. All right. Those girls are all just her workers. All right.
The fleet.
God bless her. God bless her. Listen, Kostornaia made her up those YouTube videos, okay? She had to pay back Yana Rudhovskaya, all right? Time she changed that program, I didn't show up to the ice last season. I don't know.
Exactly.
Should we see her on? I mean, come on. She belongs in Ice Age. Think about what she's
going to give them personality, and she's going to give them the sound bites they're looking for.
Don't you come on the ratings about her against Evgenia, who could be more theatrical, more dramatic for the camera?
Yeah, I think this could be very entertaining.
And maybe it's what we all want. And then I think it's time for the Pro Series in Russia. Think about it.
It's too full of amazing people right now.
Come on. You have Evgenia doing a triple toe and a triple sow in a short program against Kostornaia. We don't have to do the required double axel because they're from the Eteri School of Skating and we understand. Okay.
Optional axel requirement. Okay.
You get Zagitova, Medvedeva, you bring in Sotnikova, Rodionova, Kostornaia.
I'm waiting for Leonova.
As the Rosalind Sumners, yes. Okay.
Doing a program to push it as our current day Denise Spielman. Here is.
Leonova. Yes. Exactly. Think about how much we would, because maybe Tutberidze will continue. Think about it. She has the fan favorite status. She's skating the best she has in years. Maybe she'll continue. Otherwise, she.
And I want this moment. Like, remember in the U.S. pro scene, like Rory Flack came out of nowhere to be so much more relevant than I ever.
This is what I would do. I would have like a ladies competition because Russians love New Year's. Okay, they freaking love it. It is like bigger deal to them than anything. Why not have a competition? They could do the outdoor competition in Red Square on New Year's Eve. Jonathan,
this is great. Yes. Yes.
There could be props. There could be Whitney Houston. There could be laying on the ice. Okay.
There could be Tamara Mosvina just skating out with a little mic saying Happy New Year.
Yes.
It'll be great.
Yes.
It'll be great.
All right. I mean, I'm worried though, if Tarasova can't be the head judge on Ice Age, who could replace her?
Yeah, that's tough. Who else is like that figure? I mean, they look to Julien and Averbooth.
Yeah, but you need someone with that kind of personality.
Yeah.
And of character.
No, it was never in it, but just rose above it.
I mean, Moskvina could have her moment.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back to who they had judging at that team event when it was like the Medvedeva versus Zagitova event. Do you remember? Because they were primarily like sort of celebrity judges.
Yes.
It was Tarasova, but they also had.
Maybe Natalia Besmianova could have her moment.
Maybe she's secretly been waiting and we didn't even know.
You know, she's like Tarasova's daughter. I mean, come on, they could really bring her out. So.
Oh, fascinating. Victoria Volchkova, I would like for her to just make a renaissance, come back.
Or Maria Butirskaya.
She's going to give you some sass. She's going to tell you what she thinks.
She looks great. Like when you see pictures of her, bring her back. Bring her back. All right. Everyone could perform to 17 moments of spring, one after another, and we could just.
Can't bend your knees? No problem. It's not required.
She was the original world champion of adult skating. It's why they have the event in Nebelhorn. She won the Nations Cup all the time. All right.
They gave it to her at a senior world championships.
Speaking of things that made our hearts just sing, Kevin Amos has had, let's be honest about this. He started the season, it looked like he was going to hurt himself on those practices.
It was a nightmare. It was dangerous and it was scary.
It was like Kashmar, okay? It was.
Now we know he asked not to go to Skate America, and it did seem like there was federation pressure for him to go when he definitely didn't want to. I don't know why he didn't want to, but it was clear he should not have.
And they're adding the scores together. Maybe they should add the scores together in the US if we're talking about this body of work, but then it's like, which event did you go to and the judging, but I digress. Anyway, they, he has been behind Adam because he was not performing well and Adam was ahead.
But withdrew the free, right? Withdrew from the free at Skate America and then had a really rough short, was it at the next one, but did better in the long. Yeah.
His free program here, frickin' phenomenal. I mean, coming together. It is like the Rudy story of figure skating. I mean, Kevin Amos coming
one season,
crying with Sylvia. I mean, I feel like we have just watched every Disney film from Little Giants to the football movie where the girl is on the guy's team. Boy, that was Little Giants. Yeah. It's like we're watching The Sandlot, Little Giants, all of them together when we're watching.
Did you cry these movies?
I mean, you have a kid moment of like really like, I mean, obviously as a kid, it's going to happen, but it feels like the Mighty Ducks, Jonathan. Okay, quack, quack.
I'm so much gayer. There was like some cartoon called The Last Unicorn when I was a kid.
Pause. Have you never seen the Mighty Ducks?
No, I've seen the Mighty Ducks, but I had to be like annoyed by it because like, remember they had the figure skater on there and it was like trite how they were.
It's how they got the goal. Like the third or fourth goal was because she did a scratch spin and everyone was like so amazed. And then they got their thing right in. Come on.
No.
That is a part of figure skating herstory. Okay. That is...
That's so funny. Weird.
Come on.
I just always forget Emilio Estevez is related to the dad and the brother. Like, that's insane to me that he came from Martin Sheen and his brothers with Charlie Sheen is insane. It changes the movie for me. It does.
And then he's such an RFK fan and was like, I'm going to make Bobby and cast Lindsay Lohan.
To see Kevin come here, I was curious. And he, even though he fell on the quad sow attempt in the short, nice quad toe in the short, 2 nice quad toes in the long. Or free rather. The free looked cool. He looked very interesting. It was very modern dancey. Like one moment about 2/3, like it got a little drony, a little monotonous in the mood, but like a very cool program when he does that slide at the end. Like I was like, aha, now we're back. I now
it all mesh back on his costume.
Yeah. I'm so curious, like, I don't know we'll get an honest answer like this season, but like with time, I hope he comes forward and is like, here's what really happened. Because I feel like something was going on we don't understand.
He was injured and had to come back. He was off the ice for a while, is my understanding.
And so, but how horrifying then that you were pressured into skating by whomever too soon because it was so.
Did you miss the fluff piece where Natalie Pechelot once shoved Fabienne into the boards before the 2014 Olympics when she was skating, when they were?
I did not see that, but I now I'm understanding. Okay.
It was another moment of figure skating herstory. And who better to replace Didier Gaigi than Natalie Pechelot? Okay, this is what we want in skating, okay?
Crazy.
Remember her crying on the podium when they were third at
when we did the recap and you put up that like amazing thumbnail because it was who won? The Italians won. It was like so goofy. Who was silver that year? I don't really remember. And then
it was at Worlds, yes, but she had 2 moments where she just let it on the podium. It was the Italians, Weaver and Poget. Yeah, like honestly, the Italians and Weaver and Poget were like, Weaver and Poget and the French were way better than the Italians at that.
Yes, and the Italians were totally shocked, but lovely until I realized that they were like going to be world champions. But the picture of her on the podium, she's got the bronze medal to the side and she's full blown like.
Yes, Michaela Moroni. But also, there was a fluff piece on her from Trophy Eric Bompard where she realized the way the ice dance politics were going that year. Wow. And it was Virtue Moyer, Ilinich, and Katsalapov, and them. And like she had like the one tear going down her cheek.
Yeah, because she knew exactly what was going to happen 3 months later. Whatever. Yeah, she was right.
Natalie was right. Okay.
Yeah.
She's a true queen. And who better to run a federation that has been involved in many a judging scandal than someone who feels that they have been wronged.
Then been afflicted by one. Yeah. Exactly.
Also, I found the most amazing article to do a video on, but then I thought it's like maybe inappropriate with the timing. There's a whole article about why Irina Ronina and Tatiana Tarasova were like no longer friends after they spent, and like it was the most Russian article of 2 queens who are titans and strong women. But I thought people might say it's in poor taste, like if she doesn't make that, like, but.
I just knew Rodnina had some real sass in her when she finally got the Czech team to win Worlds in '95, I think it was, with Novotny. And she was like, God, coaching them to 1 World Championship was way harder than winning 10. Oh my God. And I was like, this woman is amazing. So funny. So funny. But I have to say, despite the Twizzle mishap, I think the free dance is like, again, there are such moments of absolute brilliance in it. And it really, the way it culminates into its final moments are sensational. All of these like sort of like leaning stretch things I can't remember if it was whatever step sequences lead up right to the end. I was like, this is such killer content. I really go for it. I really, and the more I see it, the more I like it.
The free dance with Papadakis and Cizeron?
Yeah, I didn't think it was their most inspired outing. I felt
when after she fell, the lifts after really seemed weaker, and I didn't know why. And sometimes a fall can just take the energy out.
Well, because you're not about to post a score that's special, or
Oh, please! They gave them all 9.75s for everything. It was, but
that would have been 10s, obviously, without the fall. Yeah. So
I don't know. To me, there's something between the costumes that don't seem quite right. His shirt and. I don't know. It's like they've just like missed it for me.
Ah, okay.
Like there's something off. Like it's like when sometimes like when you're trying to write that essay and you just don't feel it. You're trying to force it and you're trying to do it and you just don't.
Dave, not to compare their Olympic journey to something so trite, but every Christmas, I post like one Christmas ornament a day. It's like this little countdown thing, and I write these little blurbs with some cute
little puns. Yes.
Yeah. I try to put.
Debbie loves them every year. Yes.
I have to tell you, like, that's the thing. Like, some mornings I wake up and I'm super inspired. I'm like, this one's going to be so funny. I'm so excited. I have the time. I'm going to knock this out. And sometimes you're like, oh, I can't even believe I have to do this again. Just like get it out there. Just get something down. So you feel like they just kind of like got something out there. Yeah.
Well,
like they just.
This is what I think. It's not that they didn't have an idea that wasn't good. Because I think in their rhythm dance is so inspired, right? And so cool.
Especially when compared to what everyone else came up with.
Yeah, and like it is the moment. And it was like on the nose and edgy and cool. And they've always been that more innovative team in that respect, where they have really pushed the sport forward. Mm-hmm. And it was almost, for me, like you have all of this creative energy and you nail one program. And then you're like, what are we going to do for the free dance? And you feel the pressure of coming up with something to top yourselves and to have this Olympic moment and to be the best thing you've ever done. And the last thing, and like all this, it like the pressure of it like stifles the creativity from you.
Yeah.
And it just like falls a little flat despite having so many cool ideas. And I don't know, to me, it just like, it has such cool elements to it. And other people may agree or disagree. And please put in the comments what you think. To me, I find that their rhythm dance is so amazing.
Sharp.
To me, it's like they had so many. And I think the other thing that they're going against is they had this really unique style and they would be ethereal and flowy and doing that. And then it got to the point where by the time they did Moonlight Sonata, everyone was like, enough. You've done this same kind of.
Both of us that loved them from day one knew that the lyrical style came after all the other styles. Yeah.
But then now it's like where to go, what to do. And I almost would go back to the 2019 free dance. It's not Olympic, but it has this like raw quality to it. And I really think it's them at their best because it shows them both skating so well. And there's just a freedom to the ending. And I feel that they've been forced in their programs in 2020 and now in 2022, where it just was like overthinking it and trying too hard and trying to be too conceptual.
The only criticism people could give you was too much lyricism. And again,
remember when the Duchesnays did that program at the 91 Europeans and everyone was like, God, no, okay. And then they went back to that other program and they did like a sequel. I would almost, bring back the Sunday morning thing that they did where they just skated the shit out of it at the Worlds. And at the end, and it just showed them being so freaking strong.
See, to me, I get that, especially in like the final minute. I really do.
And I don't think that other program is necessarily Olympic, but I think it's just amazing. Like I just think that there's so much richness in there.
This reminds me of one of those programs that I feel like dance people watching will think is cool because it's interesting.
It is interesting, but it's flat. And how often do we see an Olympic program that's flat, where under pressure, things go wrong? Think about Berezhnaya and Sikraliza, where they couldn't find the free program in 2002, and the short program was frickin' phenomenal. But it's like, what to do for the free? What to do? They liked the Chaplin program, but she felt they needed to be classical, and they never believed in it enough.
Right.
I think we're in like a similar situation where you're like, and the pressure in the moment, and it just doesn't sing. It just doesn't flow out of their skin.
Yeah.
Not that I think that they're necessarily at risk, although her fall.
No, because it could be different. Excuse me. It could be different if the Russians had like some killer program.
Mm-hmm.
But the Russians also have sort of put out, here's the interesting thing. The Russians have put out, I think, what they would consider a lyrical program, even though there's a lot of like intense like moments, especially from Nikita for some reason in it. So if they do go lyrical, now we're going apples and apples. I think their win is very easy.
Yeah.
I think the win is very easy if you give them the same thing. Like if, let's say, Grichuk and Platov had done their 95 world sort of like ballroom free dance the same year that Torvill and Dean did theirs, I think it would have been easier to put Torvill and Dean ahead. I don't know. I think lyrical would actually make this a no-brain win. Like a no-brainer.
Which program would you go back to?
I don't even know. You know, I like all that vintage Mozart they do, but like,
that would be phenomenal. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're right, that there was a magic there. And right now this is a cerebral appreciation. It's a cognitive kind of program instead of but it's interesting to me. But is this the historical performance of their dreams? I mean, they've already won free dance at the Olympics, and it was to something lyrical.
To me, it's flat. I worry that when you're flat and the nerves take over, that's where you make mistakes. Maybe go back to 2017. With the Happiness Does Not Wait, although everyone has borrowed that music from them, but
there was like an early Mozart even before Tessa and Scott came back. That was one of
they did 2015 was Mozart, and then
that's the one I think
2016 was To Build a Home, which I don't think that that's Olympic, and it's like I think that style of music, the depressing thing, has really been played out.
And we know that the propaganda machine about them always doing lyrical was to
unnerve them, of course.
Yeah, but also to boost Virtue and Moyer, who were doing something non-lyrical.
Well, and Didier was working his own propaganda machine. Let's not forget that.
What I'm saying is that propaganda machine isn't happening now because their competitors are doing something lyrical.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, the Mozart it lifted them up. It is ethereal and lovely, and it would be like Mao Asada returning to it, although that didn't work necessarily for her when she popped that triple axel. But you know what? It's
not that world. So.
Yes. Yeah. But something like, I don't know, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the free dance.
Okay.
And
I know you believe in that. Do you know what
yes.
I mean?
Yes.
So for you see something that's
you know how you go get married and you do something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. They've got the something new. You know, I think maybe go back to yeah.
Could be.
Maybe the Mozart.
Yeah.
It's the Carolina piece that she did.
Really beautiful. But
it would be cool to see them do it as performers now that they are older and could add perhaps new perspective. And I don't know, it floated over the ice. It emphasized everything that was so right about their skating. And this is, I don't know, it's like trying too hard, and I don't know.
It's showing experts in one thing that they can also do something else. But sometimes you're like, why don't you kind of lean into what you do most?
Yeah.
This time. But again, they got such criticism for it last time, although they technically won. The Moonlight's not a portion of the program. So
although, to be honest, I believe that that's bullshit. I believe that Tessa and Scott's Moulin Rouge performance, I've never seen anything like it. Okay. In the moment, if you're not prejudging, in the moment, I've never seen anything better at the Olympics. Like the actual theatrical being present to me, it's two different things, right? Like there's like that aggressive performance moment, and then there's the ethereal skating, right? But I think in the moment, what they were able to deliver as a performance to me, I think was better. And yet I adore Papadakis and Cizeron and that program. So it's like, you know, choosing which arm do you like better, the right or the left, you know, like
part of the show, the introspective, gorgeous, heartbreaking ballad, or the big like knock you on your socks showy number that like gets you.
And I love both, right? And it's literally like, I don't know which one, you know, but exactly. I would have gone with Virtue and Moira personally for the free dance, but given world record scores to both, you know, that's what, right?
And you know what, maybe this was like some trade-off. I always wondered, because like you could justify it, like, because even if you let Moonlight Sonata win, you still knew they were going to walk, that Virtue and Moira were.
I know, it seemed very predetermined. I'm just like,
that whole season was goofy. Yeah,
it was a very goofy season. So I digress, but it's ice dance at the Olympics. Well, let's talk about the exciting things that are happening this week, because it's like at the most wonderful time of the year. And no, it's not when the kids are going back with the Staples commercial. It is Russian and Japanese national strut, and oh my God, it is our favorite part of the holiday.
You have to tell me, what is the latest with Trusova? What is the report?
I think she's going for the quadlots, but I think she's a gritty girl, and if she's going to put in one, why isn't she going to put in two?
Right. Come
on, knowing her character,
right,
knowing the kind of fighter she is. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her try three. We've heard that she's been working more exclusively with Dudikov and maybe doing fewer sessions, but more focused jump, you know, trainings to get everything back, is what the kind of word was. You know, at that point, there was more momentum behind Kostornaia before she got injured with her wrist. So I think this is Elizaveta's moment. I think if you look at everything, come on, I've never seen people. It almost reminds me of Lu Chen in '98. I feel like we all just collectively lifted her to that bronze medal, like our love of her over time. I really feel that the public, it's interesting, and I feel for Trusova in this moment, because at the beginning of the season, she was doing something so groundbreaking.
And everyone got right behind her.
Everyone got right behind it. And then she injured herself and can't do that right now. And I did predict in that Team Tutberidze video that maybe only one of those three girls would make it to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it's very sad that it's played out like textbook. Right. What happens, right? I could see more injuries before the Olympics with the amount of numbers and training. And I think that that's and it happens in gymnastics all the time, where until they're actually competing, someone could blow an ankle. And it's happened with Chelsea Memel and Sam Pezic and this one and that one, and Simone with the twisties and this. I think skating is getting to that point, especially with the women and what's happening. But I think I've never seen people rally behind a skater the way everyone just seems to want it for Tuktamisheva.
I know. And you know what's so funny is like, we've always had our opinions on the material or whatever's going on, but like there's something, she does represent a longevity, a jumping from the legs, a perseverance, a woman skating, like all of these amazing things that we love about this sport. She does somehow like check those boxes, and she's such a sentimental favorite. And someone turned to me at Skate America and they're like, don't you just wish she wins the whole damn thing? And I was like, about the Olympics. And I was like, kind of. That to me would be the most, I'm not talking about the skating anymore. I'm talking about emotions. Like, I think that would be the most feel-good story this sport has had in a long time.
Listen, don't count it out.
I know. For a while, I was really nervous she wasn't going. Now I'm like, is she going to take it?
I think with these Olympics, Omicron, injuries, pressure, anything is freaking possible until that last moment.
Yeah.
I do think it's a new world. And I do think that with these quads and what they're forcing with the younger bodies that are doing, anything is possible until the last moment.
Yeah.
I think the sport, I think the more the sport is pushed technically, the limits of the human body and the people that want to say, well, it's a sport, you know, and then when the sport starts skewing 70-30 and it was traditionally 50-50, you start to be like, right? I think, and then the more people push, I think that these, and I think the jumps are great. I think having champions who are healthy enough to appear in more than one or two competitions at their best is even more important.
Yeah.
And there are different ways that you could deal with that kind of a situation, perhaps, but I do think like you start to go off the deep end when you want something and then you want it too much. And then look at what happens with gymnastics and not really having so many people that are in competition. Now it's hard to see because Simone Biles and Kohei Uchimura were these really unique talents who happen to be at the same time and win from year to year. Other behind them, the names have changed and people come and go and you don't have those stars from
those
year
mainstays.
to year.
And that's, I mean, we all pontificate why skating is not as popular now as it used to be. I mean, and I think part of it is the very few names are around long enough and relevant long enough for the public to get used to them. Especially when talking about that public that doesn't clue into Finlandia. They're losing traction on who is even relevant at the moment.
Think about it. If you didn't see Virtue and Moyer lose in 2014 and then come up to a team that is otherworldly, and is their 2018 win as special? No, it's because they lost and came back and improved and were better. And right?
Yeah.
If you hadn't seen Tuktamisheva be amazing at 12 and then lose it to these other girls and then have the best season of her life and then go down and then come back up and then be in the hospital with pneumonia and not go to Worlds and then come back, and it doesn't mean as like it doesn't mean as much, right? Think about how emotional it's going to be to watch Yuzuru Hanyu if he is able to skate a clean short program, clean free program next week, knowing what he's been through and been number 2 for the last, to Nathan, and it seemed like he can't win, and then to get injured and then to come back. Like, I think if you have a heart, you're going to be like, oh my God, like this is really emotional. Like
it's a time a lot of us, like for whatever reason, situationally may feel kicked while we're down for whatever reason in the world, in the climate, with the pandemic, with whatever is happening. So the idea of seeing people who we have seen fall and like kind of get kicked while they're down, come back and do these amazing things, to me, that's like, it's cheesy, but that's like the most amazing part of skating, when you just get those like chills that someone did something you almost weren't expecting. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
And the adversity, and it's what makes sports so compelling, right? And it's really
love pieces exist.
Yeah, and there should be more of them to sell the sport. To me, I'm so curious, and I'm so excited. The one thing with the Russian ladies, I think it's very likely that the results for nationals could be Valyeva, Sherbakova, Tuktamisheva, Trusova, Khromykh,
Right.
And while it's going to be great to watch, I'm so curious, one, to see like, can Tarasa Morozov beat Mishina Galyamov? Like, which one is going to come out there?
Or don't, like, I mean, Chodik and Pavlyuchenko, like, they could mess something up in that bronze medal.
They have that spoiler energy. They are that Ali Raisman, gritty girl, like, guest, right? Yeah. Landed flat-footed on the beam, but sticking it, okay? Like, that is them. What I wonder with how high will Diana Davis finish?
Oh, yeah. And these poor men, I will tell you what, like, I'm excited to see White Crow, obviously, but also.
Oh my God, Jonathan, do you want to just let it wash over you? I mean, can he please give us a clean program? All I want, you can bomb the short, okay? We could have to Ashley Wagner you onto the Olympic team. I don't care. I want a clean program of the White Crow. If he has to bomb every element in the short program to give us a clean White Crow, I want to let it just wash over my body.
That one clip of the program I can always go back and watch, because when you have favorite programs, I'm like, what's the best version of it? Just give me my best version of it. So that's the one I'll always go back and watch over and over again. But I mean, I'm intrigued at that lineup because they have like 5-6 guys that are really evenly matched amongst themselves, like right beneath that. And I have no idea how this is going to play out, because some of them have shown moments of greatness leading up to this and some real moments of vulnerability. I think it's going to be like a super duper quad fest, and I am fascinated to see how it plays out. Because I imagine however it plays out, there's a possibility that those 3 guys go to European and it plays out in a totally different way there.
Yeah. Absolute not. Absolute not. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what the heck is going to happen in Japan, Jonathan? Like, are you, the ladies, first of all, the women, so sorry.
Are we planning on seeing Rika?
Who knows?
No announcement thus far.
No announcement. The cricket club hasn't like put anything on Instagram of her. I don't know. We have seen nothing.
No. We got a wakaba situation. We're curious where Mai is going to show up in there, because she's.
How are they going to judge Satsuko? Wakaba needs to nail it.
I know.
They give her no favors. Okay.
And Mia Hamada's new girl, whose name is escaping me at the moment.
Reno, but she has not been like. She's not been it.
Greatness. She has some real, like, Canada, the free skate there was really exceptional. Like, so she has the ability to make a moment. She's just not put it all together yet, it seems.
She's not done it for me yet this year.
We've got a dance showdown, yes?
We do. I mean, Daisuke against Tim Coletto.
This is like Spanish feeling.
But so, this is so funny, but so last week, Megan Duhamel spilled the beans that the Japanese team wasn't.
You're still there.
Going. Yeah, sorry, my phone. I got a random. Do you get random calls ever from numbers? Like lately, like the number of fake calls that I get. Sorry, it came across my computer.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah, no, they go nuts.
No idea who the person was. Anyway, I think so Megan Duhamel spilled the beans that the Japanese weren't able to go to nationals because they couldn't get Bruno a visa. And then, so Daisuke, does he not get to bring Marina Zueva to nationals? I mean, she belongs at Japanese nationals. Come on, okay?
Who knows, maybe based on where her citizenship is, it may be different. I don't know. Was the Canadian citizenship like part of that difficulty?
Come on, Jonathan. If Japan isn't gonna let someone from Canada in where they take like 17 COVID tests a day, you're gonna let someone in from the state of Florida? That Russian mask wearing technique?
Yeah, exactly.
Think about it. Okay.
Amazing. We'll see. I'm really curious for that showdown, as I'm sure they are as well, because we saw some movement in Warsaw that said maybe they were going to try to do something here. So we'll see what happens.
But think about it. The men's event, will Yuzu reign supreme in perhaps his final nationals? What could happen? Like
Yuma has been doing well. Shoma, I'm intrigued to see where he's at with his organization of things. I mean, so many Shun Sato, like there's so many of these, like
Suzuki, Tomono.
Yeah.
I'm so ready. Okay, my body is ready, Jonathan. Let's get it done. Let's get. I'm ready for this week.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. After a couple weeks now, where it's been like some funniness, waiting, cancellations, smaller things. Like we're in prime time, coming up into these 2 country nationals. I'm so excited.
What was your moment of the week, Jonathan?
Oh, I would say Kevin. Kevin being able to deliver that free skate and look a bit more like we hope Kevin can.
I think that I gasped. I loved it. Okay.
Yes.
It was the moment.
Yes.
Hold an edge and look sexy, everyone. But,